Hayden Winks, Warren Sharp, John Daigle here to preview the AFC Championship game between the Bills and the Chiefs, the powerhouse match we have all been waiting for, a rematch, I should say, from Week 6. And Warren, the Bills, of course, struggled in that one. Yes, they were jammed in a weird 3-week schedule where they played a Tuesday game the week prior, then had to get forced to play on Monday, and then get an extended break afterwards. But do you see them struggling again, or can they have success after Josh Allen most recently against the Ravens also had fewer than 6.5 yards per attempt?
No, I think they can have success. There's been interesting circumstances behind all of the Bills' performances, whether you want to look at that game against the Kansas City Chiefs from a scheduling perspective, from a weather perspective. You look at both of the playoff games that the Buffalo Bills played in, the first one being that they start off with the most absurd field position I've ever seen in a half of football in the first half of that game, and the second one with the massive wind conditions playing against a blitz-heavy Baltimore Ravens team that just chose not to blitz whatsoever. There's just been interesting factors in each one of the Bills game, and you don't want to try to make excuses for that offense, but I do think that they match up well and should have some success in this game. I absolutely expect them to be able to challenge this Kansas City Chiefs defense all over the field. I think that they're going to be able to run the football a little bit more than they were against the Baltimore Ravens. They aren't going to just completely avoid the rushing opportunities here. But I think it's going to be interesting the way that both of these defensive coordinators try to play the offenses here, because a lot of that is going to dictate what the offenses will try to do and how they're going to try to react. And ideally, both defense coordinators would rather those offenses run the football a lot. So we saw the Buffalo Bills and Leslie Frazier do that a lot in the first game, just sit back. It'll be interesting to see if they take that same exact type of strategy. Anytime that the ball is not in Josh Allen's hand or Patrick Mahomes' hands is a win for the defense.
And of course, the Chiefs had success when Leslie Frazier inviting them to run the ball. 46 carries for 245 yards and 1 score. Hayden, do you see the Chiefs offense playing out like that again? Or do you think it's a completely different chess matchup we're seeing in this one?
Yeah, like Warren said, the Bills want the Chiefs to run the ball here. But even if they play a lot of cover 2, a lot of cover 4, they're still going to be vulnerable to like some shallow crossing routes. And I think that you're not going to see too many runs here from the Chiefs, even if the Bills want to do it. I don't think that the Bills are deep enough in the corner to kind of stop Tyreek Hill. I don't think they match up well against Travis Kelce either. So I'm expecting kind of more of a dink and dunk approach, not the high-flying Chiefs where they're throwing 50-yard bombs all game. But I don't think the Bills ultimately could stop Patrick Mahomes, even if this is more of a dink and dunk approach. The one thing that I'm a little concerned about for the Chiefs side is the Patrick Mahomes toe injury. I'm curious to see if he's going to be fully healthy there or not. He picks a couple first downs up with his legs occasionally, and a lot of these broken plays that the Chiefs are so good at is him creating time from the pocket. But if that isn't a big concern, I really do like the Chiefs' chances of moving the ball, and I really like the Bills' chances of keeping pace here just because we've seen them just throw out the run. And when you're in a pass-only game script, you can see some points start flying across the board. I like the matchup for John Brown. I like the matchup for Stephon Diggs in particular. So I think we're going to see a lot of points this game. This is the AFC Championship that every fan should be wanting to see. The total's at 53 for a reason right now.
And remember, for an edge on any wager you're looking to make for the conference championship round, or perhaps you're trying to get involved in NBA betting, we can help you out there too. You can get an Edge Plus Max subscription to unlock access to exclusive trends, game predictions, player prop projections, and much, much more at rotoworld.com/edge. Remember, use the promo code PLAYOFF10 for 10% off any subscription, since it's also a terrific service to use for the rest of the year for any sport you may be using it for. For the Bills, Warren, do you see a specific player or position having success, or maybe one that Brian Daigle unlocks in particular for this game because he thinks it's a strength against the Chiefs defense?
Well, I think a good thing is that most teams around the NFL have not faced a lot of 4 wide receiver sets. And the Bills now have 4 wide receivers that are fully healthy and integrated in this offense. And they're not throwing the ball in massive wind conditions like they were against Baltimore last week. So I think they will be able to spread the field, use a lot of 4 wide receiver sets. I also think that there's some areas that you can attack. The outside corners for the Chiefs are very good, but they're also very grabby. It'll be interesting to see how the officials choose to call this one, if they call it tight or they let them play a little bit. But I think inside there, you're going to have some success. The safeties and the linebackers of the Kansas City Chiefs have not done very well in coverage this season. So I think there are going to be some upsides for Buffalo all over the field. I mean, the reality is you want to attack the Kansas City Chiefs on the ground because they rank so poorly in run defense. But as Hayden said, you got to do what you do best. And so you will try to stay a little bit balanced, but there's not one specific position I can pinpoint, although I will say tight ends have had success against the Kansas City Chiefs, but you're only going to be looking at a maximum of a few targets going to tight ends regardless for the Buffalo Bills just because of their plethora of receiving options.
And as we know, you won't see any going to running backs as Daigle continues to ignore them wisely. I would not be doing my job if I let y'all get out of here without telling me your best bets among this matchup, or leans perhaps. So, Hayden, let's start with you. What are you thinking here for this game? Your favorite bet, side, player prop, etc.?
Well, right now we're recording on Wednesday, and Kansas City, they're a 3-point favorite. I think when Mahomes gets cleared, that'll creep up towards like -4, and I think the over will kind of go over. So right now, my favorite pick would be over 53 if you can get it. I'm expecting this to finish out like 54, maybe 54.5. So that's my favorite.
And what about you, Warren?
I'm looking at waiting on this game and seeing what happens with the spread once Mahomes does get announced in. I do tend to think, like Hayden said, it'll go to 3.5, possibly to 4. And I'm looking at taking the Buffalo Bills potentially. Anything over 3.5 to 4 points would definitely be something I'd be interested in.
I would also be interested if you can find it a Kelsey over Hill matchups, because this game does favor Kelsey in particular. Every game favors Kelsey, of course, but the Bills allowing 16 targets, 14 catches to Colts tight ends. And then last week, Mark Andrews, I know he wasn't successful with them, but did see 11 targets. So I imagine Kelsey's peppered in this one. That is the AFC Championship preview. Good luck to everyone out there.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.